Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? Think about when you were a child. Did you read comics like Garfield or like me, Tintin, or Spider Man, or perhaps you prefer nonfiction titles or historical fiction, especially today as an adult? Well, there is a genre that allows you to combine images and text, which can be, of course, fictional or non-fictional, and that is the graphic novel. Did you know that the term was coined in 1964 by fan historian Richard Kyle? And the graphic novel became familiar to the public in the 1980s. As a matter of fact, in the late 1980s, with this book that you may have seen in bookstores, or perhaps you've read yourself, Mouse. Well, previously on Jackie's Reading Room, I talked about the Heartstopper phenomenon. That was episode 4, if you haven't listened. And Heartstopper includes 4 volumes, 2 short novellas, and it was also made into a TV series on Netflix. So the graphic novel genre is alive and well, and there really is something for everyone. As I was doing my research, I found out that the sales of graphic novels boomed in 2021. Not surprising. If you remember 2020, 2021, we were stuck at home, most of us. And I quote, sales of adult graphic novels more than doubled in 2021. This is from a website that is called newsy.com. I'll post the link. And on the site, it says that the pandemic can explain the growing popularity of graphic novels and also the rise of comic book writers and artists from around the world. There are such talented people who make stories come alive with their really, really beautiful drawings. I have to admit, I enjoy once in a while grabbing a graphic novel, and one of the reasons is because it's just completely different from what I read. Right, I read a lot of novels, so works of fiction, and I will also read some nonfiction, which I can find in graphic novel format. But the graphic novel for me is it's almost like a break from the usual reading, right? It's easy, it's fun, and there's a lot to look at, obviously because of the drawings. The top selling graphic novel of the beginning of 2021 was a volume of Japanese superhero series called My Hero Academia, and it's also an anime. So often you will find that graphic novels will get to the big screen or the small screen, as a matter of fact. And I am not personally a huge fan of manga because manga is also very popular, but I do love graphic novels, as I was saying, and I was reading that the manga form brings young people into bookstores and into libraries. So if that works, listen, I think it should be encouraged. And compared to the comic book, that is really like a collection of short little stories and strips of images, the graphic novel will have more elaborate kind of stories. One example that I read not too long ago is called The Girl from the Sea. It was written by Molly Knox Ostertag, and it came out in 2021. Very sweet little story. It is a graphic novels for teens, but you have, of course, your adult graphic novels as well. And the girl from the sea talks about Morgan, who is a young 15-year-old girl, and she is saved from drowning by Kelty. And Kelty is a mysterious young girl who seems to live in the sea. And the two girls fall in love, and at some point Morgan realizes that she should just be herself. I thought it was a very sweet story. Yeah, I find that with the images, the graphic novel really makes the story come alive. And if this book can help young girls who realize that they prefer girls, well, then there you go, and then they will be able to see that there are stories like that that exist. So I think that's quite awesome. An adult graphic novel that I read and really liked is The Handmaid's Tale. You may recognize the title from the classic, of course, the original novel by Canadian author Margaret Atwood that came out in 1985. Now, the graphic novel adaptation came out in 2019, and the art and adaptation was done by Renee No. And she is a Canadian artist, illustrator, and graphic novelist. She was born in Vancouver. And if you know the story of The Handmaid's Tale, you may have seen, obviously, the very popular Hulu series that is now in its fifth season, although it's been a bit stretched. But that first season was the actual story of the original novel, right? If you are a bit older, you might have seen the original film from 1990 with the late Natasha Richardson playing the role of Offred. Now, I thought so I read the original classic, The Handmaid's Tale novel, but I thought that graphic adaptation, because of the subject matter and the images are all in terms in colors of black and red and orange, very beautifully done. I thought that the artwork really caught my attention, and it was very, very good. I did mention, I believe, The Handmaid's Tale in one of my episodes, episode 6, From Page to Screen, right, where we talk about adaptation. So the graphic novel sometimes can be an adaptation of an actual full-fledged novel, and this is also, I find, a great way to bring in classics. I believe that recently I had a graphic novel version of, I believe, 1984, purchased for the library of the college where I work. So, super interesting format that could make people discover classics, and you know, by reading that instead of reading the original, if they can't or they won't, right? Right now, in my bookshelves, I have this graphic novel called The Montague Twins. It's the first of a series of 2 so far, and the first title is called The Witch's Hand. It was written by Nathan Page, and Drew Shannon is the illustrator, and they are both from Canada. So Nathan Page was born in Kingston, Ontario, and Drew Shannon is Toronto-based. So I really like the pictures that they did, and it looks like some kind of a murder mystery. And on the cover, you have kind of like this mysterious character with a red cape, which I really enjoy. So it's on my TBR pile. As you know, I always have quite a long pile. But I would like to encourage you to give the graphic novel format a try, because, like I said, it would take you out perhaps of your comfort zone. It might have you read things that you would not normally read, or read perhaps a classic that you haven't read so far, but in a different kind of way, with visual support. So I think that definitely there are advantages to reading graphic novels. And then, of course, you can recommend these to friends or nephews, grandkids, and so on. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and that you take a look at the graphic novel section when the next time that you go to your local library or local bookstore, and perhaps even maybe get a copy of one of those titles to a special person in your life, or perhaps even yourself. Listen, if you, whether you are in Canada, the US, across the pond in Europe, or even further in Australia, I certainly hope that you're enjoying this, and that you're going to listen to a few more episodes. And I will see you next time. Keep on turning those pages.